ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to COASTER-net Update. We've got some breaking news tonight from Knott's Berry Farm, where we've just learned that Boomerang will be closing forever on April 23rd. Now, this news took some people by surprise when Knott's Berry Farm announced it on their social media. There wasn't a really big lead-up to this announcement. No one really expected Boomerang to be taken out. So I think the question here is, why all of a sudden are they now deciding that Boomerang is going to be removed from the park? And if so, is it being moved to a different Cedar Fair park? Is it being scrapped? Danny, what do you think's actually going on here?
Well, I think there's a couple things that we have to look at here. First of all, we have to look at how much notice they gave us, which they're only giving us about a month or so. Number one, because I think they know that Boomerang isn't one of those iconic rides that people are going to want to make a cross-country trip to ride. So it's pretty much just going to be the locals who are really making a trip out there. And even the people who haven't been to the park aren't going to make a special trip to ride this ride. Now, if it was Montezuma's Revenge closing down or something like that, then maybe you have some more people making a special trip to ride one of the last Schwarzkopf shuttle loops. But for a Vekoma Boomerang, they're a dime a dozen. You can find them in every corner of the country. Nobody's making a special trip. So I think that's part of the reason why. Some people are talking about how this is a very early closing date, but keep in mind Knott's is a year-round park, and that it's very common actually for them to open major rides in the middle of what you and I would consider the off-season. I believe Ghost Rider was actually a December opening. I think Silver Bullet was a December opening as well. They've had several major attractions open in the seasonal off-season, if you will, for folks like you and I. So, that we don't really know a whole lot from the fact that it's closing in April. Boomerang has been a ride that's maybe been on the chopping block for a while. People have been talking about maybe it's going to be removed. What could you put in its place? The nearby Riptide ride was recently removed as well. Some people saying that maybe this is the kind of the fire starter for the long-rumored, long-planned Giga Coaster project, and I think that's where most people are kind of leaning. The Giga Coaster project rumors go all the way back to 2012 to where Leviathan actually opened at Canada's Wonderland. You and I did some work before we did the show tonight, possibly revisiting that to see if a mirrored Leviathan layout might, or something similar to it, might fit in Knott's Berry Farm, and I think you and I found maybe some configurations where you might be able to make it work with a few tweaks here and there. So supposedly, most people said that the Giga Coaster project for Knott's Berry Farm is always still been on the docket. It's just been continuously pushed back. And maybe that's part of the new management. Maybe it was a plan under Kinzel. Maybe we met and his regime has kind of moved it back, but is still planned to do it. Maybe you put a station in that area and you're able to maybe wrap a coaster around the outskirts of the park, maybe into some backstage areas. I think that's kind of where everyone is leaning at this point, because aside from maybe putting a flat ride or two in, you're not really going to be able to do a whole lot with this land plot being in the middle of the park, unless you were to use it as a station plot and then kind of shoot a coaster out to the outer perimeter of the park. So I think that's where most people are going with this. But personally, I've ridden the Boomerang. It's a Boomerang. Not disappointed to see it going, especially if we get something unique in its place. But I think right now it's too early to tell at this point.
And the other half of this rumor is, like I said at the opening, is it being scrapped? Is it going to a different park? And there's a heavy rumor out there saying that this Boomerang is going to be moved up to Valley Fair in Minnesota. That's a park that has seen some ride removals. Also, their top spin has been taken out recently. They have a lot of open space there that they could put this there. So it's a big question, and if we'll see this ride removal. Now, in the past, we have heard that the current administration is against the idea of a ride rotation program where they move one ride to another park. So we haven't seen it really yet in full force. If we do see this happen, we've had that other rumor sitting on the burner for a while saying that Wicked Twister would be removed from Cedar Point to go out to California's Great America that we talked about on a previous Uncut show. So if we see this Boomerang move to another park, maybe that also is accounting for why we have the very early notice, so they can disassemble it and get it out to another park, either for the beginning of this season or maybe even the start of next season. So, Danny, I think we're going to have to keep a really close eye on this one, because I think what happens here, there's a lot of ramifications for a lot of other different pieces of
It'll be
fact.
A major indication as to what's coming for the chain, I think. It'll tell us, we talk about how, money talks, and, we talk about that a lot, and this will really show us if what we're hearing from the Cedar Fair brass is true across the board, and to see if they're going to stick to their guns, or if they're going to say, you know what, maybe it's not such a bad business model that if we're going to tear one thing out, we might as well put it in another park. And there are talks that Valley Fair may become the next park in the Cedar Fair chain to get the Carowinds treatment, because it is it's in the middle of a couple of big markets, but doesn't have a lot of close competition. You could really draw from maybe that Chicago and Milwaukee region, and obviously Minneapolis. It's already the major player in that region, aside from the Mall of America. So, maybe we see Valley Fair get the same sort of treatment and try and become the major park in that region.
Absolutely. So, as always, thank you for joining us here on COASTER-net Update. I'm, of course, Aaron Barczyk, and as always, ride on, Ride Warriors.
See you next time, folks.